Okay, and good afternoon once again. Yes, we're going up the river road once again from work, and it's on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I was going to talk first off. What my main topic today was supposed to be talking about, people working on the holidays, the fact that, not only do police, firemen, nurses, all types of workers at nursing homes go to work, but also have to worry about, the meteorologist who actually has to keep going because, the weather doesn't stop just because the rest of the world wants to. But, something else decided to come up this afternoon that was a little bit weirder. And no, I'm not talking the Arbery case. No, we're talking the fact that U.S. Soccer decided today unveiled today that they were going to have their next set of games for the qualifying for the CONCACAF spots for the World Cup coming up at the end of 2022. Well, St. Paul getting one of the games, not too bad. We definitely will take it at Allianz Field. We have a damn good field, no doubt about it. Only problem, they're going to give us the game on Groundhog's Day. And I don't know about anybody else, but Minnesota, February 2nd, does anybody usually think outdoor soccer at that time of the year? Outdoor hockey, yeah. Even football, if the Vikings are actually doing good, which I don't think they're going to make it that far. But even then, they have their own palace. But they're actually going to try to have an outdoor soccer game on February 2nd over at Allianz Field. Average high for that time of the year is 25 degrees. Average low plus 9. Yes, I did check that this afternoon before I started the video. And that just seems like, really? You're going to try to play soccer in that? If it's for an evening game, you're talking temperatures probably in the mid-teens. If there's any type of wind, you're going to have the wind chill down towards 0 Fahrenheit real quick, which is going to cause some major problems, even for the players that are on the field. But outdoor soccer, February 2nd in Minnesota? No, hell no. Now, if they were playing inside over at the Viking Palace, it's the U.S. Bank Center, but I call it the Viking Palace because that's pretty much what it is, like $1.5 billion stadium. But if they're indoors, okay, one thing, I'm seeing a soccer match in there. It's not, it'll work. The audio sucks. The speakers suck, but at least, you can play soccer in that. But playing outdoors at Allianz Field, when the groundhog is supposed to go take a look at his shadow. Really? That's somebody who you can pretty much say the statement, they don't have a weatherman on staff without knowing that they don't have a weatherman on staff. Because, any type of meteorologist, I don't care who, would be even just local people here in Minnesota would tell you, like, February 2nd, outdoor soccer? Really? Whoever made up that decision over at U.S. Soccer, well, then again, I'm not totally surprised, because I hate to say it, off on a little rant here on U.S. Soccer, but Greg Berhalter is the coach. Yeah, we've won a couple games. We even won a couple of minor cups this year, but to be bluntly honest, he's gotten more lucky than good so far. He's finally starting to get some type of idea what team to play, but still, I'm not exactly the best with him as coach. And let's face it, him as coach is one of the more egregious decisions that U.S. Soccer's made, but it's not the only real bad one. The next bad one is pretty much demolishing the U.S. Open Cup as we knew it. The pandemic, yeah, you couldn't really do much in 2020, but 2021, yeah, you could even make some excuse. But next year, they should be able to have a normal normal U.S. Open, getting all the semi-pro and pro teams into the tournament. That's the normal U.S. Open that everybody thinks about in soccer. Well, they're not going to do that. They're just going to give throw a couple places in the tournament for a couple of the lower USL teams, maybe one for NPSL, and then that's it. And by the way, USL is sort of like Division 2, or if you were to compare it, English MLS would be like the Premier League. USL would be like Division 1. USL 1 would be like Division 2 in England. So it'll give you some perspective. But what they're doing, they're tossing out a few things to the USL and stuff just to try to make those clubs happy. But to be bluntly honest, it's not really a good thing. I mean, they're demolishing a tournament just because you don't want to give credence to the USL, especially since on the U.S. Soccer Board is also the head of MLS. Talk about a little conflict of interest, and I mean, it's just not the best way to do that. But I don't control those things. I only watch the games. I mean, my older brother actually might have bought in for voting rights. I should do that one of these days, but it's one of those matters where, and you're wondering, why would I want to play USL teams? Well, to be honest, they have some pretty hot crowds as well. I mean, I remember back in 2019, the year before this whole COVID mess, we were in the U.S. Open tournament. We had to play our first round game against an upstart from New Mexico, from Albuquerque, from New Mexico. The place where Bugs Bunny always seems to make the wrong turn. Well, they came up. I mean, yeah, we beat them 6-1, but those fans were hot. I mean, they not only filled a plane to come up here, but when they were in the stadium, they were behind that team, and they're also known as the Curse. The actual root, the fan section. I mean, the diehard fan section. For Minnesota United, it's Dark Clouds. So let's see. You have some Dark Clouds. You have some Loons. You have a Curse. The only other thing you need is maybe a couple stupid teenagers, and you got yourself a good startup for a horror flick. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't advertise that more. But I mean, their fans are hot, and I still say, once this pandemic is over, if we do get to playing regular friendlies again, I would like to play one against those guys, the team from New Mexico, because those fans are hot. And to be honest, I think our guys could use a little trip to Albuquerque anyway. At least they won't make the wrong turn like Bugs Bunny did. But that being said, that's not the only mistake that U.S. Soccer made. The other one, a big one, was the whole NWSL scandal. I don't know who. I know I tweeted about that. My Twitter, by the way, HPBear149Den. If you're looking for that, I'll put that in the comments. But there was a scandal that broke out in the NWSL. One of the coaches from over at Portland, apparently starting about 2011, good coach. Only problem is he also loved the whole thing about, sexually taking advantage of his players in a pretty ugly way. I mean, the story is on The Athletic. You can look it up. Just look up the NWSL scandal. And, I mean, the details that I saw in that article, oh, God. And when Portland found out, they got rid of him. They got rid of him with prejudice. But the only problem is they didn't disclose in public why they got rid of him. They just disclosed that they got rid of him. And someone else and a team in North Carolina actually hired him. And then everything continued, and then someone from Portland finally decided to speak up and say enough is enough. This guy shouldn't be your coach anymore. And after the details were given out, let's face it, the guy was gone. They actually had to cancel games in the weekend because all the women were pissed that they didn't do anything further, which I don't blame them. I mean, from what I read about the guy, he's a total creep, and sort of gave away his rights to a man card for life. But it's one of those things where U.S. Soccer should have handled it better earlier, and they didn't. I mean, when he got, there were complaints apparently coming in as early as 2016 with that, and right then, there should have been at least an investigation. Apparently, Portland started one. That's why when they finally got to 2018, they had enough evidence finally to say, bye-bye, guy. And, well, the league, at that point, U.S. Soccer should have suspended the guy's coaching license. He should, because apparently you do need a license to coach soccer in the U.S., at least anything above, 7-year-olds. So, I mean, he should have been canned right then and there. He wasn't. And, well, it is what it is. But at least they got rid of him now. At least things are starting to heal, but let's face it, U.S. Soccer doesn't exactly have the best of reputations right now. Is it a little bit better than USA Gymnastics? Yeah, not too much, but a little bit. And we're also, while we're talking soccer here, Minnesota United ended the season, first 20 or 30 minutes of their playoff game actually didn't do too bad. Pretty much the second 2/3 of the game, they look dead. I don't know why. I mean, they were only going to Portland. It's not like they were going all the way to, going up to Denver or something. But the way they ended was not good. And the way the team they start with again the next season is actually going to be at the end of February, and that's going to be at Philadelphia. Of course, my older brother's team to start the year. The brotherly battle starts again because he's a Union fan. He'll root for Minnesota United except when they're playing Philadelphia, and of course, same with me. I'll be okay. I'm okay with Philadelphia being originally from Northeast Pennsylvania. But when it comes, since I'm a season ticket holder and I live out here and everything, let's face it, when it comes to Minnesota versus Philadelphia, Minnesota's got to take priority in my basket. So yeah, it's a little bit of a brotherly battle. Heck, even the Philadelphia Union said they like my brother better. So the seeds are sown. But anyway, the reason why they have to start next season earlier is because of that World Cup, the one that they decide to have the qualifier on February 2nd over here. But the only problem with having the game in Philadelphia at the end of February, anybody who knows anything about weather, well, the East Coast has sort of had a few, mid-Atlantic bombs that come through, and those, bombogenesis type storms that pretty much, can bury Philadelphia. So, I mean, Philadelphia's, I think, going to have a game. New York's going to have, I think, a game, and some, a couple other teams, and it's like, oh, yeah, first week of the season, have to worry about a bomb off the coast. And, of course, the Philadelphia Stadium, Subaru Park, it's a nice park. The only problem is it's laying right on 95. That's usually, like, sort of where everything goes from snow to ice. And that's where usually the media has their field day, whether, it's good or bad. So, guess we're going to find out if the weather can hold up or not for not only the U.S. qualifier, but also for the Minnesota-Philadelphia opener. Of course, the next week we have our home opener in the first week of March. I mean, normal highs are up in the 40s then, so it's at least a little bit better. Like upper 30s, lower 40s at the beginning of March. We play Nashville. So, I mean, Nashville's used to getting a little bit cold, How they're going to do, we'll see, but, hopefully we get some more consistency over the year, because that was, I think, Minnesota's biggest problem, was we didn't get a full 90-minute effort from everybody all the time. But, other than that, when we're talking sports and everything, when we're talking weather preparedness and sports teams, let's face it, we have there usually teams do hire meteorologists and weather companies. Reason why is because they got to be sure that there's no lightning around and no really, really heavy rain, because, really heavy rain and sort of can chase fans away and also make the turf pretty bad. As for lightning, well, unfortunately, I don't know if you've ever seen, but there are more than a few reports over the years, especially in Eastern Europe, where they keep playing when there's a thunderstorm in the area, someone gets zapped, and, bye-bye. Soccer players usually down, not usually dead, but they're usually hurt pretty badly. U.S., we actually take that pretty seriously, and at least we're tracking it now for the most part. Usually the standard is like 8 to 12 miles, depending on the league, if it's within that distance. But still, you have to be prepared for it, which, okay, it's definitely a good thing. But, there are some when it comes to being prepared, some teams are prepared better than others. Biggest example being the Florida Marlins, who decided to cheap out and use a weather app, and then all of a sudden, with their retractable roof dome, forget that they have these things called sea breeze thunderstorms, dump a couple of quick inches of rain, pretty much delay the game for 4 hours because they have the dome. They're not prepared for, getting water off the field. So, that's one reason why they have them. But when you're also talking other, like football and everything else, football season for NFL is still going. College will be going for another couple of weeks. But for high school, it's about over. One recommendation I did with that, though, is a friend over the summer when I was back home, when I was back in PA visiting my family and also seeing my niece and nephew graduate high school. I met up with a friend from college who also happens to be a band director over Pittston. He was saying about some of the lightning stuff, and I told him, it's like, hey, they do make portable lightning detectors, right? I said, no, yeah, you can actually get them for a decent price. And, you pretty much set it for what distance you want it for your safety zone. And once it comes in within that safety zone, you'll get like a pager type thing. You'll get a pager and a beep, and you'll pretty much be able to say, okay, get everybody off. Because, him being a band director, me being a former person in a band, I happen to know that, big things like tubas and trumpets and even flutes, they happen to be pretty good lightning rods. So, you don't want to be out in the middle of the field, and also you don't want to damage pit equipment, by a big heavy downpour, because that takes more than a few minutes to clear out. But what he did is he actually got a lightning detector for him after my recommendation. But he also, when he talked to the other band directors, because they usually have a little meeting for the competition band directors usually before each season, he actually did make a comment to the other band directors to be able to have something to track that. And apparently, several other band directors took his advice, aka my advice, and that's good. And also, the Pittston area football coach was curious about it because football players out there in lightning and fans out there in the lightning, not a good, especially with high school stands that are usually more of the metal type. Not a good thing to be sitting on when there's, lightning bolts in the area. So it's one of those things where you've got it, for fan safety and everything else. Apparently, because the band talks to the coach, you don't want to distract the football team too much. The football coach also picked one up. So, hopefully it's spread around the league. Because, being prepared for the weather for these type of conditions is actually a good thing. Which is how we get back to the men's soccer. Because, yes, a couple times we've actually, there's actually been delays during Minnesota games. One of them, I think, at home. A couple others were when we were on the road, I think in Dallas. They get some pretty big cells down there. And they did get a couple delayed a game for a good couple hours. But anyway, when it comes to U.S. soccer, what they're going to have to worry about when they play up here at Allianz in February, which I still can't believe, but they're doing it, is they're going to have to worry about hypothermia. Especially since the U.S. is going to be playing Honduras. You know, if they were playing Canada, it'd be one thing because both teams would be semi-acclimated to the cold. But you're playing a team from Honduras, basically the tropics. They don't see this type of cold very often. They really don't down there. If they do, usually something really big is happening elsewhere. So, you know, I mean, they're going to have to deal with potentially hypothermia. You're going to have to deal with frostbite for both teams. And also the fact that, you know, you're talking potentially a soccer ball that's going to be half frozen. An air temperature only about, you know, if you go by the average, it's only about, 12 or 15 degrees. A soccer ball potentially, smacking you in the face at 60 miles an hour plus at those temperatures. That's going to hurt a little bit if you happen to be on defense and happen to block a shot. I'm sorry, that's going to knock you out for a little while. And I mean, that's also going to be a problem. But with all these potential cold weather problems, remember, we still have that little COVID thing that we're still dealing with, unfortunately, because people won't get the vaccination. Please do get your shots. I know in my next doctor appointment in January, that's when I'm going to try to get my booster. While I'm there, at least they can observe for any potential problems. But when you have cases going to be waves going to be going up and down, especially after Christmas. You're going to have the Christmas and New Year's holidays, so of course people are going to be together, and you have unvaxxed people and vaxxed people, and the virus is going to still unfortunately be around because we haven't gotten rid of it yet. You haven't got the shots out there, everybody. You still have some people that just, for some reason, believe the shots are bogus when they're not. And you'd be dealing potentially with a wave of infections another wave of infections up here come early February. Right around Groundhog's Day through Valentine's Day. Which would be not good news if you have a bunch of soccer players from out of town not used to the cold, potentially getting frostbite as well as hypothermia. That would not be a good thing. Last thing you want to be doing is not having any hospital rooms if somebody's body temperature happens to go down to about 88 or 90 instead of staying at 97, 98. So, I mean, definitely one of those potential disasters here I hope we avoid. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm just hoping everybody has a safe Thanksgiving, has a safe holiday season. I definitely will get another one out probably Tuesday or so of next week. Sorry it was late this week. I mean, I had a killer headache on Monday that really knocked me down. So, I mean, it is what it is. But as for upcoming this week, not too much tomorrow. Friday, I'm thinking maybe see if I can get that movie or watch the movie somehow. 13 Minutes. It's supposed to be like a drama based off of four families' view of like an F5 tornado heading towards town, and the 13 minutes is signifying because the average lead time between a tornado warning and it actually getting to a spot is about 13 minutes. So it makes sense. And I'll see if I don't know if I'll have to rent that online and see if that'll hold up with my DSL connection or go to a theater. We'll see about that. But then Friday night on Black Friday, what I'm thinking of doing I don't know if I'll have to hold it or if I can get someone else to get the room and we get it started, is a thing that we call Drinking with Scientists. It's something that started back in mid-2020. Basically, it was mainly more for the weather. The weather field started this because, a lot of people were isolated because of all this. They needed someone to talk to. They needed to be able to keep their head straight. So, yeah, get some online networking, while you're just looking up random scientists from all over the place. And that's, pretty much it started with just the weather field. But being that's with Drinking with Scientists, you're doing it from home. Yeah, you're bringing your own drinks. So, do what you can with that. But It's not just open to meteorologists. I mean, hey, psychologists, nurses, doctors, pharmacists, biologists, all scientists are welcome. Look up my Twitter feed, and I'll definitely be able to see about getting you in. But I'm thinking, if I can get it going, I'll put an announcement on my Twitter feed if it is going to go. But if it does go, I'm thinking start time. Bars, the unofficial net bar is going to open at about 7 o'clock Central Time, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, 9 Atlantic, and of course 9:30 in Newfoundland. So I mean, we're people from Canada and the U.S. are all invited. Hey, let's talk. I know there are people who are going to be away for home for the holidays, or can't get to see the relatives. So hey, come on in for a few minutes, have a chat. Meet some new people, and we'll see what happens. But as for now, I'm just back home. So until next time, until the next ride up the river, I'm meteorologist Jim Marusak.